Hello guys, welcome to a Trading Parrot. If you've been wondering why now the price has reclaimed 100k and why it could potentially continue going to the upside, the answer goes straight into the US government shutdown. This is expected to end this week. Analysts expect 40% recovery as 700 billion liquidity returns. The US government shutdown has now entered its second month, extracting 700 billion from financial markets via the Treasury General account, which sits 150 to 200 billion above normal levels. BitMEX analyst and trader Arthur Hayes both identify the shutdown end as the critical catalyst for major BTC rally. We'll look into this news and some other news. We'll look into my crypto intelligence report that is published for free every day, and we're gonna go also into my Q&A coming from my own community. Guys, if you like this type of content, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell to get notified every time I put out one of these videos. And can we get 1,000 likes? That would be fantastic. If you're looking for an exchange to trade, you can consider Bluffing. There is a link in the description. Whatever deposit and trading volume you may have, you're always gonna get rewarded as long as you use the link in the description. So yeah, when the TGA resumes spending, analysts expect a liquidity snapback that could send Bitcoin from 103 towards 140, 160. That's a 40% recovery. Historically, Bitcoin gained 50% in the 3 months after the last shutdown ended. There is a pile of bullish catalysts that people are seeing. So despite the fact that that could be just a bull trap and we could enter an actual bear market, we cannot deny that people might be maybe preparing themselves to trade the bullish catalyst that could end up playing out, getting us into 140, 160. Those targets are in the table. I still think that is low likely, but I cannot neglect them either. That's why I stick to my long and not just to my short. If you want to know the levels that we need to break to guarantee or to make more likely these bullish scenarios, you need to watch my technical video that went already live. That one is called Bitcoin's Fail Breakout. Every day I publish one video dedicated to the technicals. The one that you're watching today is dedicated to the fundamentals, the news, and what the community and everybody's saying. The shutdown is almost 35 days on record. That is where we're going, with an expected resolution bringing billions back into assets markets. Remember that with the shutdown ending, we are not just bringing new liquidity into the market, but also information. Tomorrow we have information about employment incoming, and if those things are good or if they are bad, they can influence the decision on rate cuts and other aspects that also do matter. What other news do we have that are actually worth our attention? Trump declares the US as Bitcoin superpower in Miami speech. That has a positive, obviously, tone to it, and it could influence regulations and how the rest of the government perceives Bitcoin. It all seems to come from the idea that US needs to be on the top of crypto and leave everybody behind. That's what I'm taking away. This has already had an impact this cycle when it comes to performance of coins that are local to the American market. We have had already some rallies that were pretty interesting going on, and those happened before Ethereum, which is not technically considered 100% a US coin. Ripple partners with Mastercard for RLUSD stablecoin pilot on the XRP ledger. That's an 8 out of 10 bullish sentiment, and it's a partnership with Mastercard, Webbank, and Gemini to pilot their own stablecoin for settlements of credit card transactions. This marks one of the first attempts on regulated US bank to settle card payments. Bitcoin approaches fair value at 98 to 101k as MVRV ratio signals potential local bottom. And if you haven't noticed, on Twitter, on Telegram, and on YouTube, I've been consistently every day producing using a report. This report that is prepared by my team consists of a summary of everything that is being said in YouTube in other crypto channels. We have decided to include initially 30 channels, but if you are part of my Patreon community, you can suggest any additional channels and it wouldn't take us any effort really to add them into the system. Let's go through it very quickly. Bitcoin plunged through the psychological 100k barrier to test the 98.7 with a dramatic 20% correction and the 1 billion leverage positions clear out of the way. Here you can see which channels we are currently analyzing and what is the outcomes that we get from them. There's some featured voices of very summarize what each specific channel is saying, what is the most important thing that they said. For example, Coin Bureau sharing their opinion on who is actually selling at the moment, or Cryptocurrently talking also about the MVRB set score analysis, some multiple channels talking about the specific correction, or More Crypto Online giving us some targets for XRP and Solana. We also have a nice collage of all the thumbnails in the same report, key themes to watch, and trading setups straight extracted from the YouTube videos, so anyone really can see what were the actual targets, what were the setups that were mentioned in the past 24 hours across more than 30 videos. So instead of having to watch all this number of videos, which is technically impossible in a single day, unless that's all you do in the day, now you can just read this or access the full report. The full report is hosted in my website and all my Patreon members can access it. That is where we go nuts in terms of information, but you can always access this one for free. Axel says, time for a recovery. Let's try to understand what he really means, because this is the profit and loss block dashboard and it shows where we have gone into an area of losses extreme or profits that are extreme. Those can signify that we are in the area of a local or local top or local bottom, or the final top or the final bottom in the markets. There are some areas where we tend to hit very consistently areas of losses, which is the bear market, or on the bull market we hit those profit-taking areas very intensively as we are part of the banana zone, also known as banana zone, areas where you should also join the party and start taking some profits, as we can see on these peaks in here. The worry is that this has gotten into the area of zero. That area of zero only gets hit once you are already exiting the bull market into the bear market. But it seems that Axel is not fully convinced that we are yet entering into that bear market. Neither I am, but hitting that level puts you in that gray area. That could be a local bottom that is about to hit back into the upside. The first time that we hit that zero level was around here, where we already saw in the previous video we had an SOPR signal saying that too many people took a loss, and that was a great signal to take a move of 7% to the upside, which if you don't trail, you can carry on with a massive drawdown into the bear market. So wherever we are, whether this is or is not the beginning of a bear market, you still have to treat this zero as something high risk. Enter into profits and lock them in however you can. Top buyers, capitulation at exactly the wrong time is how bottoms are formed. Short-term holders already are taking a big loss in here. We are seeing that on the SOPR, and on the flip side, we are seeing Bitcoin supply at a loss reaches 30%. This level has historically preceded major rallies. Of course, we're taking this from a channel that really has no clue. They just mention this as historically, and what they really mean in the past year during a bull market, in the most bullish side of a bull market, that plays out like that. If you take a snapshot of this indicator in the bear market, that doesn't stand very long. So be careful how you interpret things that are unfiltered coming from Twitter. The Wolf of All Streets is saying that BTC corrections, Bitcoin has had 7 major corrections since 2022. This one is currently 21.7, and at the low end in a cycle where we have seen 4 other corrections corrections of similar size and 2 that were much bigger. Why are you all freaking out? And yeah, I've been spending the whole week why we need to be careful. I never say freaking out, but we should be concerned because we have the perfect metaphor. We are with 1 foot on the ground, but the other foot is outside the edge of a cliff. And the monthly and the weekly now has the chance to put that foot back on the ground. So we're standing with 2 feet on the ground instead of the 2 feet right there above the fall. Let's look at what my community is asking for. And this is actually a bullish alpha, guys. We got only 2 questions in my whole community. In the past few days when things were bullish, we were getting, 20 questions, and my videos were extending to an hour because I wanted to answer all those great questions. But now we only have 2. And let's see what questions we have. Ben is asking, I have a very small long position at 109.5. Sadly, I closed my short hedge too early and this trade is underwater. I still have around 60% bigger position on spot BTC, which is deep in profit. My question is, will it be better to sell spot now as a hedge to my long and either deploy capital if a market crashes more or just ride small long if it recovers? So of course I cannot give you any financial advice, and I myself ignore 100% whether we're gonna go over 130 and extend into Q1, Q2. I am open to the idea of that, but we haven't yet even gone through the long list of checkboxes that we need to do for a bullish case. We started with 103. We need to do 107. Then we need to reclaim points of control on higher time frames. Then we need to put a new high on the close and a new higher high on the price. Then we need to defend any breakouts on weekly, which we haven't done in past cycles. We need to defy the fact that this is already the longest cycle ever. At 126, that is the longest one from before when we reached that price and we peak at that level. So that kind of everything confirms so far bear market. We have the catalysts and the fundamentals that we've been talking about in this video in our favor. People are going to trade that. So there is a potential for upside. And on my technical video, I show that strength coming back on the daily, on the monthly, reclaiming support, not settled candle yet, but it is what we currently have in our favor to be on a long. If it makes you feel any better about selling, not financial advice, I insist. I started selling before getting into 126K, just like I did with Ethereum. I don't intend to time the best exit, but I want to ensure 100% that I go into a bear market with big profits without having to look back and say, wouldn't it have been nice if I took profits? That phrase cannot be, and it won't be already in my situation. I think what you need to be looking for is for an area of full invalidation. Break, for example, below, 95K or 90K, and then just admit being fully wrong and, take profits. Of course, if we get there, you're going to have taken way less profits than now. But if you take the profits right now with this bullish catalyst and they end up playing out, you're going to hate yourself too. So you need to make pieces with both sides, sit down with both scenarios, have a good conversation and look into your future self and see if you can live with that, with either of those scenarios. T-Monday, everyone thinks the bottom has been hit on this bull run. I guess you mean the top, because unless you mean the local bottom, I'm confused. However, I do agree with you as it could go to between 80K and 95 before going up to reach the top of this bull run. If this is the case, what do you think? What do you do with the shorts? Are you planning to take the profits and add another short, or just have a small profit and open a new one? When it comes to the short, market needs to prove that short being wrong, not myself, that short. I left the short at 122, it's got a stop loss at 120.5 in profit. In case we go above 120, well, I'm willing to then ride my long and let that one pass. It's already big in profit, the short. So if we barely can move up until 117 to take the biggest liquidity, then maybe at that point I might consider adding to my short. It depends how we land there. If we go euphoric at that point, if everybody is bought into the idea of a new all-time high, and I see so many indicators taking profits in green, causing a deacceleration at a complete disaster area for a bounce down. Maybe I enter another short there on that strength. If we continue down, I will keep my short up until the bottom of the bear market. Ideally, that's my intention. Whether I can achieve that, who knows? Having a short in my favor, big in profits, is gonna give me confidence later to enter longs. In the middle of a bear market, you can be wrong one more time when you have a hedge of the same size in your favor. I have a big question for you guys. What do you think is the biggest catalyst at the moment, bullish, that could potentially bring back a new all-time high in Bitcoin? Do you think it's to do with the government shutdown coming to an end? Do you think it's the rate cuts potentially being double 50 basis points? Do you think the end of, let's say, trade wars will do the trick? Or fair enough, maybe you think nothing can do it at this point and we are already on our way to a bear market. I'm very curious. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.